Good day, my fellow Nigerians. In this conversation, I want to start a principle, or I want to start a series that I call the New Nigerian Discipline, Part 1. Now, the New Nigerian Discipline has to do with basic lifestyle, ways, things, principles, and little things that we can apply to make Nigeria a better place, to build Nigeria into a great nation. Now, for some of us, these things are going to be very simple. For some of us, they're going to be a little bit complex, or they're going to be a little bit difficult to apply. But what I want us to understand is that if we have the faith, if we have that desire, the belief, if we have that zeal, that love for Nigeria, it can empower us to try to implement these little principles in our lives, because one of the greatest things about life, or one of the greatest things about change and growth, is that if you have the will, if you desire something, you will always find a way to make that thing come to you or to make it work. So, in today's conversation, I'm going to talk about be nice. Be nice to people, be nice to every Nigerian you see. Now, when I talk about nicety, or when I talk about niceness or being nice, I'm not saying you should suppress your need and satisfy someone else's need. Like someone asks you, "What do you want?" Whatever, what you think. No, I'm not saying that when you desire something, you suppress it, but rather you fulfill that same need for other people. No. Now, those people who do those things are people who have not learned how to express themselves or how to interact with people. Because sometimes you find that such people are scared that if they voice out their opinion, you will reject them. So basically, those guys are not nice people. They are people who have not learned how to communicate, or people who have not learned how to be themselves, or who have not learned the social skills of self-expression. Now, when I talk about being nice, is in everything you do, in everybody you come across with. In everybody you interact with, there's always an opportunity to just be nice. Sometimes it doesn't cost a thing. It could be a kind word, just like the Holy Read says that a kind word kills anger, but a harsh word stirs up strife. Now, when you're nice to people, it doesn't cost you anything. It could be a kind word. It could be an encouraging word. It could be just anything simple. You're passing on the road, someone needs help. I'm not saying financial, maybe help like beggars, no. Someone needs to put a load on his or her head. You can help the person. You're passing on the road, someone is carrying heavy loads, multiple bags, you can help the person carry one. Now, these things seem very little, but they go a long way in affecting people's lives. I remember one day, a long time ago, this should be about in the 90s, there was a lady I used to see on my street. She's an advanced lady. Then I was a kid anyway, so I'll call her advanced. So I don't think she was married, but she was a big girl. So, by my psychological analysis, she looks like this type that, doesn't associate with the environment. They stay on their own and all that. So, she came back from probably travel or something, and the car she was in stopped her at the entrance of the street, close to my street. So they discussed and the car left. But she had like 2 bags, I mean 3 bags, very big bags. I was coming from afar. I saw her that immediately the car moved. It was like her world collapsed. Like she just asked herself that how in God's name am I going to carry all this back and walk all the way down? Because when we're not talking about time of keke. There was no keke then, and there were no bikes that ran that street. So in her mind, she was finished. So when I got to her and I said, "Let me help you," I carried her bag. I carried the heaviest one. Then she held the two small ones. All the way down to her place, which was further than my own street, because we're talking from entering from the main street. So there was something she said halfway. She said, "You are an angel." I looked at her, me, angel. Because I helped you carry bag. You said I'm an angel. Now, but the point is, for her to call me an angel is that maybe people don't help her. Maybe she has not found herself in a situation whereby she needs to be assisted and someone assisted her. Now, I know a lot of men, if a woman comes to you for assistance, you want to choke first. I don't know what is in your road that you want to choke. Assist people. Be kind. If it doesn't cost you a thing, it could be you're driving out from your street, you see people at the entrance of your street. They are your neighbors. You can carry them as you're going along your way, they are dropping. It's a little act of kindness. It goes a long way, longer than you ever think. Because every human being who has a need desires for that need to be met. And there are, due to the traumas or pains or experience of our past, some people are not very good at asking for assistance. But when you see that that person is in need of that assistance and you assist that person, it touches that person's heart. That person never forgets you. Why? Because you struck a chord. I remember one experience I had in 2007 or 2005 or 6, I don't know. I can't really recall. Now, I traveled to Lagos. That was from school. I was schooling in Enugu. So something happened. I had to go to Lagos. I think it had to do with my shares then, because I bought some shares in GT Bank and First Bank. So there was something that happened. I needed cash. Now I wanted to go sell the shares, but they now said for me to sell the shares, long processes, and the one of GT, they made a mistake in my name because I have a very bad writing. I had a very bad writing then. So when I was buying the shares, I wrote my name, Elias Stanley. Now the Elias is ELEAS. I don't know what the person that processed that form, share form did. He wrote Elias Stanley, that's ELAS. Now, but they were still paying my dividend to my account. Okay, they used to send it to me, I pay into my account, but except for me to sell those shares, I have to go to Lagos, do one or two things, go to their headquarters, bring this document, plenty story. And as at then, I didn't have an account with GT. So I had to go through a lot of process. I got to Lagos. After running around, I stayed in a friend's house, did everything, submitted the papers, bureaucracy, story, enter, we will come back. I looked at them, me, student, we will coming from Lagos, coming from Enugu to Lagos, and my papa get the road. I blanked them and went back to Enugu. Now, when I got back to Enugu, as I entered my hostel, our flat, now my neighbors came out. They all came to my room. And everybody was like, where the bread we buy? You know, buy bread. Everybody was like, bread, bread, bread. What did you bring? Now, one of my neighbors, he looked at me and he saw that I was very exhausted. He said, Buji, don't worry. Because they used to call me Buji then in school, Buji Bantim, because I used to play a lot of Buji Bantim. He said, Buji, don't worry, come. I get soup. Ma go make garri for you, may eat first. And it was like this guy just poured cold water on a burning man. I just left everybody in my room, followed him, went to his room. He made garri, gave me egusi soup, which was my favorite. Because as at then, I could cook egusi soup straight 1 month. I ate my egusi soup, came back to my room. I did not answer anybody. I just removed my clothes, took a shower, went to sleep. But that thing, that kindness, I never forget it till today. This is over 20 years. I never forget it. Because he solved the need for me. He understood me. I was coming from where I went to. Now, none of these people asked me if what I went to do was successful. Because in the first place, if not that I had a friend, a neighbor that I stayed in his house, I would have stayed in a hotel. And my money had run, I nearly borrowed transport back. Imagine a student in 2005 shuttling Enugu, Lagos. While I was in Lagos for about 1 week or 5 days, I fed myself. Nobody bothered to say, where you go, you succeed. No. Rather, they were looking for their own bread when they go chop. Oh, yeah. So, when you're nice to people, you strike a chord in them, you touch a chord in them. And the truth is, one good deed transforms a society. It's just like they said that a teacher never knows how far his impact can get to. That's how one good deed that you do today can travel 1,000 miles by tomorrow, and it can transform lives wherever they are. You see, the most important thing about being nice is that it doesn't cost a thing. It doesn't cost you money. Even if it costs you any money, it's a chicken change it should cost you. Now, being nice to people you don't know transforms their life. Because when you're nice to someone whom doesn't know you or you don't know the person begins to feel a sense of belonging. This person begins to feel like this is a friend, this is a brother, and they said there's no place like home. One of the good things about home is that in your home, the assumption is that everybody cares for you, everybody likes you. People know that their village people feel do you shege. It's assumed that everybody likes you. Sometimes, like recently, I just traveled to my village. As at the time of doing this video, I traveled to my village last week. And I hadn't been in my village. I've not been in my village for over close to 1 year. Entering the village alone, I just felt this sense of ease because everybody was speaking one language. I love it. So there is no place like home. But secondly, home is where your heart makes of it. We can make our environment a home for us. We can make our environment a mini heaven. Because if we look at it from another perspective, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We are the ones on earth. I saw this proverbial story a long time ago. It said, I think a saint or something died or he went on excursion to heaven and hell. So when he got to hell, he found out that they had food, they had everything. They had big, big pots of food. Now, everybody had a very big spoon. This spoon they use in turning big pot, party rice. Everybody had their spoon. But now you could not eat with that spoon because that spoon is big, is long. By the time you hold it, it's more than 4 feet long. So how can your 1 feet hand fold 4 feet and put in your mouth? So the food was there, but everybody was hungry. He went to heaven and he saw that they had pot, they had food, they had everything. And everybody still had the same long spoon. But in heaven, the spoon, everybody that had his spoon was using it to feed the next man. Because you can't feed yourself with your spoon. So you feed the next man feeds the next man, and the next, and everybody eats. Everybody eats. There's another proverbial story that I'm going to share with us. It's about the monastery. There was this monastery that had some monks and all that. So over time, the monastery lost its luster, lost its beauty, its serenity, its harmony and all that. So gradually, the monks started living one after the other. Now, the abbot is usually the head of the monastery. The abbot now heard that there was a great man that was coming to a nearby monastery, I think in the next village or thereabout. So he now went to this guy because he wanted to share with him, say, see you, my monastery, devil don't come there, don't scatter everything. So when he got to this monastery and saw this visiting priest or abbot, he now explained himself and all that. But wise men sometimes give you solutions to your problem in a wise way, in a food for thought format, that you have to go home and think about what they said before you glean out the importance of what they told you. So this guy, the visiting abbot, after he told him, the guy now cried, followed him, they cry. After crying, the guy only told him that the Savior is one of them. Because he had seen that these people started misbehaving to each other. These people started being rude, ill-mannered and all that to each other. And if he confronted the abbot to tell him that people are behaving anyhow, the abbot may lash out at him, or he may not accept him, or he may scold him and say he's a nonsense person and walk away. So he just told him that the Savior is one of you. Now, when the abbot now went back to his monastery, everybody gathered. What did he say? He started crying. Everybody followed him. They cried. After crying, he said that the Savior is one of us. Which can talk with this one? That's not the solution we're looking for. How can you say the Savior is one of us? How? But then they now said, okay, that they will sleep over this wise coat or whatever. So they slept over it. By the next day, they had a meeting. So in their meeting, one of them now suggested that since the Savior is one of them, and they don't know who is the Savior now, that let them start respecting everybody. So they started respecting everybody. They didn't know who the Savior was. So everybody was behaving to the next man as if he's the Savior. Now with time, respect came into the scene. With time, responsibility came into the scene. So there are gardens that had turned into bushes that tourists had stopped coming. They had time to go and clear the garden now because they don't know. The Savior may want to go and rest in the garden. They cleared the garden. After a while, some passers-by saw the garden had been cleared. So they came and rested. After resting in the garden, they went and told other people. So people started coming to the garden. Now what happened? They had sanitized the environment and they were now attracting visitors. Now the monks were now behaving nicely to each other. The people now saw that the monks were behaving nicely to each other, so they started respecting them again. So more people started coming. Then more intakes now came to the monastery because people now started coming back seeking admission into the monastery. So the visiting abbot solved their problem for them through a very diplomatic and high level wisdom way. Now, that's the same thing we need in Nigeria. We're great people. We have a diversity of culture. We have strength. We excel in a lot of things we do. At least I know I've seen a lot of times they said Nigerians are some of the best working, hard-working students. They are the best. Nigerians come out the best in some universities in UK, in America, and here and all that. And when surveys are done all over the world for the people who had the highest population in other countries, like let's say in US, America, Europe, this one, that one, and all that, you find out that Nigerians have a high population there and they are doing fine. In fact, there was one that was done, I think, in the 80s or early 90s, because I was still a kid then when I saw that statistics. They said Nigerians were the highest number of foreigners in Alaska, in one village in Alaska, those Eskimo area. And from what I knew then, Eskimo, everywhere is ice. So I'm wondering, why would somebody live here and go there and start hustling and living inside ice, inside fridge? What is wrong with him? But it shows how resilient we are, how determined we are, and how hardworking we can be under the right conditions. So I believe that as a nation, we have all it takes to transform our nation. We have what we can do. And these things are not so expensive. Being nice is a very simple principle. So be nice. Be nice to your neighbors. Be nice to your associate. Be nice to your service provider. If it is that taxi driver that takes you to work, be nice to him. It doesn't cost anything. Don't enter a taxi or a bus and start quarreling with the bus conductor. Even if he misbehaves to you, be nice to him. If it is in his nature to be misbehaving, it is not in your nature to misbehave. It is in your nature to be nice. Probably he wants to be the president of Nigeria, but he's a conductor. He has big dreams, but he's a conductor. And at the end of the day, the money he makes, part of it will go for goof. He will go and smoke Igbo, then you will pursue woman with the rest. Tomorrow morning he starts the same process. But it's none of your business. Your business is to be nice to him. He talks to you anyhow, you still greet him, good morning, sir. It's a very simple thing. It doesn't cost anything. I use taxis, buses, keke and all that. I greet them by good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. And they give me change. I say, thank you. It's simple. It doesn't cost anything. Because how can somebody give you money? Yes, you give him money and he's giving you change. He gave you money. How can somebody give you money and you don't say thank you? I enter a taxi. I say, good afternoon. I mean, even if me and you sleep for the same bed, if I wake up in the morning, I should say good morning. But sometimes you enter, some people, you're in a public vehicle, some people just enter and sit down. No, they don't care about you. They don't, So some of these little things, we can adjust them. We can readjust them. We can make changes. We can bring about transformation in our nation through being nice. And that starts. It wouldn't cost you anything. Just be nice. And the society will become a better place. Because if the society has people like you who are nice to others, then the sky will be our springboard. I believe in Nigeria. I believe in Nigeria, and I want you to believe in Nigeria. I want you to believe that we can make it as a nation. That we can transform our nation to a nation where people will come to us for greener pasture. Even if for nothing, just because maybe we're nice. And like the monastery, we may attract tourists. Yes. We can. I believe we can, and we will can. Cheers.